Hi, so this is just a quick word regarding prison reform. I often fall asleep to the television and I woke up hearing some guy describing his experiences, how he was abused in prison and all that sort of thing. And the thing is, in the United States Constitution, people are supposed to be protected from cruel and unusual punishment. In fact, that's one of the things that is supposed to separate us from the British. Back in the day when we rebelled against the British. Yeah, the British weren't very ethical. Apparently, they would torture people. They would do all sorts of nasty things to people in prison or while the people were incarcerated. Yeah. Now, in this day and age, a man actually did the unspeakable thing to a child under 1 year old, and they gave him 9 months in prison because that's part of his culture in Britain. Wow, come on, folks. And we know there are people in the United States that are in prison for such things, offenses against babies. But my dear friends, that's no excuse for somebody to be tortured, to be abused, to be mistreated. It's very odd. One of my babysitters actually was sent to prison for a financial crime. Kind of like a Martha Stewart sort of thing, but not so highbrow of a crime. He was the gentlest. I mean, I had many different babysitters, so odds are at least one of them went to jail. But no, I mean, my mother told me, oh yeah, he was sent to jail, but actually it probably was prison for the crime that he committed. The nature of the crimes warranted a prison sentence. It was a kind person, but he had flaws. He broke laws. To think that this man would have been mistreated when he treated me so well. I was just a little girl. Folks, it isn't right. Again, the United States Constitution says we're not to have cruel and unusual punishment. Incarceration is enough. And another thing is, did I mention my mother once taught science in a juvenile detention facility? That means a prison for kids 18 and under. Yeah, that's a juvenile detention facility. How she ended up getting a job there, I don't know. But again, I was a pretty small girl at the time, under 12. Unfortunately, her co-workers who weren't imprisoned, one of them was not a very ethical person. Unfortunately, that led to my parents' marriage breaking up, so we'll leave it at that. But when you see people are people. I mean, they're just young men. Obviously, they did something bad enough to be sent to a medium security detention facility. My mom didn't have any problems with those people. I mean, she really had more of a problem teaching girls in an inner city that weren't incarcerated than she did boys who were being detained in a juvenile detention facility. So yeah, that's really true. That's really true. And, the other thing that I have to say is I had a friend who was dating a guy who said he had been in a juvenile detention facility. He was a smart young gentleman. Apparently something happened where he had to be sent to the juvie, so to speak, and he said what had happened to him, and I didn't believe what happened to him. But the thing is, prisons and such facilities used to be called reformatories. What's a reformatory? Well, it's a place where people can learn to behave correctly. But we in the United States of America, we don't believe in cruelty. I mean, we do not. I mean, I don't believe that we as a society believe in cruelty. Being detained should be enough. Having a Spartan existence should be enough. Not being beaten, not being tortured, whatever else happens. As a taxpayer, we all have a right to know what's really going on. Yeah, I mean, they send ministers into prisons and things like that, and that's wonderful. And I hope there are whistleblowers. I don't believe that people should be mistreated. I just don't believe it. I think existence should be Spartan. And I do think that people need to have opportunities to learn a trade, to be in a place where they can learn a useful skill. I'm not sure that I want to pay for anybody's college degree because that's really expensive, and what's that worth? Anyway, these days, people should be learning a trade while they're there, while they're being incarcerated. This is human capital. They don't want to train people to be murderers. Somebody who goes in being a thief comes out a murderer, comes out a predator. That's not right. So, President Trump, it is Sunday, so if I have your ear this morning, let's talk about prison reform. Let us talk about making our prisons into reformatories. Not places of abject cruelty, suffering. I mean, hell is a place that's awaiting those who will not repent. But while people are still alive, there is hope that they would reform, that their character could be reformed. Please, President Trump, let's consider signing a bill concerning prison reform. It should be a sweeping declaration of prisoners' rights. And just a P.S., I don't know anybody that's in prison. I don't think I know anybody that's in prison right now. I don't think so. I just have empathy as a Christian for my fellow Christians. We need to be thinking about everybody. Whichever echelon of society they occupy, that's whom we need to care about. Everybody. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.